greater than the increase in costs on both sides would indicate. So we are going to do that, Councilwoman, and we're going to continue to do that. But I didn't want to make just token cuts so that we could show that we're doing our job, when in fact, as you're right, at the end of this year coming up, we're in a position where what we've talked about this year will be small compared to what will happen then. And I think that's part of the reason I think the state will finally come to the table and say, we can't afford to let that happen. We don't need to let happen what happened to other cities happen to the city of Yonkers, because the cost of the city in the out years is so much greater than becoming the legitimate partner we need them to be in the coming years, starting with next year. Yes.
Yes, the State Comptroller DiNapoli had cited us for the non-recurring revenues and the excessive overtime. Can you comment about the latter?
Sure.
Cover the
I'm going to cover both.
Subject.
He did cite us about the excessive use of one-shots, and then New York State gave us a $20 million one-shot this year. So while we all recognize it's not the best way to do things, I mean, if you did it in your own budget, you realize that that's what you'd have to do. If you couldn't afford to pay your mortgage, you wouldn't necessarily lose your house if you knew there was a possibility of getting enough revenue in the following year to help you pay your mortgage again. So you might max out your credit cards, and you might empty your bank account to pay it so that you can get to a point where that's not a problem anymore. That's what we're doing. And as far as the overtime, there was a significant amount of overtime, and we've talked about this, and I've met with the commissioner, especially. It's basically the overtime is the police, fire, and public works. The largest piece of that being in the police department. A lot of that is actually reimbursed overtime, which means if Con Edison is opening up a major roadway and we need to put out police there and traffic control, Con Edison pays for those police officers to come in on overtime to direct traffic. And that's in several millions of dollars every year. We get that from Con Edison and Verizon and contractors who work on the street. The raceway. All of that has been done. But we still need to get better control over our overtime on our police department. And we basically given the responsibility to the Commissioner of Police that he has to do that. He has come up with and will be implementing a plan that will do just that. We recognize that every year we can't just cut overtime and make it smoke and mirrors, and then the overtime comes in even higher again in actual expenditures in the following year, because we're not going to have that money to pay for it next year.
Does that overtime go towards their pension contributions, like the highest
Everybody's
three
overtime in the
salaries?
state system goes toward their pension. That's true of everybody.
So maybe we should be asking for more money from the Raceway and the Verizon to take into account the pension contribution.
Yeah, I mean, that may be a possibility. We're going to pull out all the stops. But again, our biggest problem, we've got to keep our focus. We're going to do all those things to try and provide even more efficient government, even more efficient Board of Education, while providing high-quality service. Our focus has got to be where the inequity really is, and it's in the funding formula. By the way, the funding formula that was instituted by Governor Spitzer when he first took office to replace the one that was supposed to be bad, not only did it help the city of Yonkers, it actually cut our Board of Education's funding even further. That was supposed to be the one to fix all the problems. I was told by one of our state legislators that under that formula, we not only shouldn't have gotten the almost $16 million that we got, we should have been cut by $16 million, a $32 million swing. That's how bad that funding formula is. It is not appropriate. It is not fair. And all we're looking for, because it's money we send to the state in the first place, is a fair share of that money back. We know what to do with it, which is to help fund our education system and allow us to spend our money on the municipal side on municipal services. Yes.
You mentioned earlier that we're getting less money from the Raceway. Could you elaborate on that? Why?
Yeah, what New York State did was when they made one of their funding cuts, that also affected the $20 million out of the New York State Raceway Fund, out of the VLTs. They cut that by, in our case, by about $400,000. So instead of getting $20 million next year, we're going to get $19,600,000 next year, and that goes into effect the following year also. So we're talking about a total of $800,000 already anticipated in loss in revenues from the racetrack over those 2 years. Yes.
I have a question actually for the superintendent. One of the things that we were able to do a couple of years ago was restore money for art and music in the schools. And I know that they're always vulnerable because they're not required. Are you making any cuts to art and music in the sports system?
No, absolutely not. We made a commitment, and I said this previously, that we will continue our arts and music programs as they stand. What we're looking for is obviously cuts in terms of attrition. Positions that were filled by substitute teachers for the entire year, then we have full-time teachers that will move into those positions. So it will kind of be a quid pro quo in terms of a savings, and we should see overall cuts of about 6% in non-personnel areas, and we should see a savings in the area of about $3.5 million.
As you can imagine, if we didn't provide the additional $8 million from the city side this year, many of those programs would have gone away again, or full day pre-K would have either gone away or gone away in large part had we not provided funding. But again, I know the superintendent, who can speak for himself, but he's told me on a number of occasions